Well, hey. All right. Welcome, Dan O'Neill.
Hey, how are you, Pete?
I'm doing great. Yeah, this is fantastic. My name's Pete Kronowitt. This is a Face the Music show for Dan O'Neill's campaign in Michigan. Dan is running for the state legislature, and we're really excited to play the show for Dan. These are really fun shows.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. It's really great to be here with you tonight. As you indicated, I'm running for the Michigan House of Representatives here in the 104th district, which is Grand Traverse County, and we're working awfully hard to get our message out into the community and doing all of the very traditional political things that candidates and campaigns do in order to get their message out to voters. But I'm really excited to be here with you tonight because campaigns are about moving people, I think, and we try to do it with a political message and sending people stuff in the mail and all that sort of stuff. And if we're going to be successful in our campaign, and I think if we're going to be successful building a brighter future for ourselves and our kids and the people that we care about, we just need to move a whole lot of people. And as we were sitting here getting ready, I was reminded of a story that I heard from an education expert from England, Sir Kenneth Robinson, I think was his name. And he tells the story, and he's talking about our education system, but he tells the story of a young woman whose mother got a call from her school. And the folks at the school said, I think there's something wrong with your daughter. She can't sit still. We think that there's something going on here, and we think you should take her to see a specialist. And so the mother took her daughter to see a specialist. And as she's sitting in the specialist's office, the specialist says, wait, can I talk to you out in the hall? And she says, sure. And as they leave the room, the specialist turns on the radio. And as they get in the hall, they turn back and look into his office. And he says, just watch. And of course, the little girl gets up and she begins to dance. And he says, ma'am, there's nothing wrong with your daughter. She's a dancer. and that young girl then goes on to be a world famous ballerina and is the head of the Joffrey Ballet. And it just reminds me that people get moved by all sorts of different things, and that if we're to be successful in bringing people together and recognizing that we are all in this together and change will come when we all work together, we need to move the dancers and the musicians and the painters and the drawers. And so I think this is just such a wonderful opportunity to hear some music and to reach out to people about what we think is important, but in a very different way. So Pete, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. I agree with you completely that, when what politicians try and do is move people with ideas, and what people who play music try and do is move people, in that song that relates to them in some way. It could be a song could be about, getting people to dance, but could be it's obviously a lot more sometimes. So, well, I'll tell you what. How about if I play some music? Then this show. I'm so excited about this show for so many reasons. First of all, people love you. Every time I bring your name comes up, it's like Dan O'Neill, yeah. And okay, so we're having a band. They've recorded this something from yesterday and sent it to me, and we're going to play a set of music from the Timebombs. And
fantastic.
It's a fun set. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, Seth Bernard is going to play a little bit later. And I think we're all fans of Seth. I'm really excited to hear Seth play. We played another show together, and boy, that show was one of the most fun shows. So I kind of have high expectations now. I don't think he'll disappoint, though.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll bring you back up in a little bit, and I'm going to play a couple songs. So cool. All right. Well, let me get rid of these. All right. All right. So, yeah, songs are about uh, uh, the, ideas as well. And this song is about possibilities. Fried shrimp, clams, some Maryland crabs, a big old bucket of beer. Waitress comes round and says, is everything alright, dear? You never, ever, never know all the places you'll go, all the things that life will show. Just never know. You never, ever, never know. Just learn to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know. There's a long road to hoe. Just take a look at your big toe. Take off your shoe and go. Kick back, enjoy the show. You never, ever, never know all the places you will go, all the things that life will show. Just never know. You never, ever, never know. Just learn to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know. Everything you want to know, to the airport you should go. The information desk is key to set your heart and mind free. And the answers you will find, they're all locked up in your mind. They were there all along. That's the point of this here song. You never, ever, never know all the places you will go, all the things that life will show. Just never know. You never, ever, never know. Just learn to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know all the places you will go, all the things that life will show. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know. Woo! All right. When I was 10 years old, my mom and dad invited these 5 couples over to our small apartment in North Miami. And that was the beginnings of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Yeah. My dad, he left his job working for my uncle, and he became executive director, and my mom became the first president. And the next decade of our lives were just consumed with the foundation. And when I look back at that, the thing that I took away from that experience was that with patience and persistence and a whole lot of passion, a small group of people can have a lasting impact. You can make this world a better place, and do it with style and grace. Just choose your words precisely with care. Sprinkle some love and be aware. Ladybugs filled the room that day, and I knew she she'd fly away. Simply look around, think about what you see, then you can judge with that certainty. A half cup of doubt, but know that you can blend in some hope. Then mix my hand, ladybugs fill the room. That day, and I knew she'd fly away. Simply look around, think about what you see, then you can judge with that certainty. That's what my mom taught me in life. You can't change the world, one thing at a time. All right. So, a couple of the planks of Dan's platform is around the environment, and even infrastructure is related to the environment in Dan's platform. And there was one thing on Dan's platform that just it's like this horrible thing. Apparently, we dump 6 billion gallons of raw sewage into the Great Lakes. I mean, that's just not a good thing. And whew, all right. All this stuff is connected. The fact that we can, change things and use that as an opportunity to create new jobs. That's an economic opportunity. Make it a positive thing. If we, the what I learned in my, I worked in tech for a long time, and what I learned is that you take advantage of changes by looking at them as opportunities. So climate change is just one of those things. I was inspired to write this song because I went over this park and I always play some music there, and I was looking at all these animals and I realized how vulnerable that they are. And, and the same token, so are we. Sitting in the garden chair, there's a roly-poly over there, touching many rows into a ball. There's no plan B for the roly-poly. Got a feeling we're headed for a fall. Rising tides will sink our shores, bumblebees won't buzz no more, butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there if we say we've done our very best? The garden grows all our food, the roly-poly lives there too. Like me and you, he wants grandkids too. Do I choose to sit and wait? Where the choices that we make, is there something more that we can do? Can I make a difference to what happens next? Yeah, there's some things I could do. Rising tides will sink our shores. Bumblebees won't buzz no more. Butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there? If we say we've done our very best, can we handle what will happen next? All right. I got 2 short songs to play. And I think I'll do that. Yeah, 2 short songs to play. But before I do, I got something to say that I know that Dan won't say. You know, what I've realized in working with many state legislative campaigns is, you know, like candidates will talk about why they're running. They'll talk about, you know, maybe the issues that they want to go help solve in the state legislature and help their constituents. But here's one thing that state candidates don't talk about. They don't talk about when they run. You know, they're just like normal people, but when they run, they take time away from their families and their friends. They take, you know, it's nights and weekends. It's 7/24. And it's not a glory job. It's not like, you know, state legislative campaigns are the most exciting thing. No, it's hard work. And then there's a whole boatload of people that work behind the scenes to make that stuff happen too. So what I'd say is this, you know, these state campaigns, they're relatively small. Their budgets are small. You know, if you're one of those folks that's lucky enough in this environment that, you know, you still have a job or you have economic means, you know, since the budgets are small, you can make a big impact with a small donation. And it's right now that matters. Right now is the most important point in the campaign. So if you can make any donation at all, you know, I'll send you, you know, a link to some of these songs. That'd be great. I would love to share some of these songs with you. And, you know, maybe you're hit by the really tough economy that we're in right now. And if you have more time than you have financial resources, well, you know, then like it says right there, volunteer. Making phone calls for Dan's campaign makes a big difference. It's just numbers. You know, it's a math equation. We need to get 50% plus one person, and we don't target 50% plus one person, but that's how many people we need to you know, for Dan to take that office. And if we make enough phone calls to people, that actually does make a difference. It makes a huge difference, and it's only talking to people. It's, you know, you just ask them questions about what they care about, and then you relate it to, you know, what's going on with, you know, where Dan stands, and it's right there up on his website. So it's really simple and it's really important. Anyway, so had to say it. This is for all your history buffs. The Prince knew Machiavelli. Have you no sense of decency? You can't have morals when there's no ground. Chicken Little came a-calling. Pinocchio's nose is growing. The emperor's not wearing any clothes. But this is real. You just don't see. There's a long arc of justice in history. There's something you just don't see. It's that we know truth will set us free. Joseph Goebbels was deformed. Nobody learned from Animal Farm. 1984 taught us double speak. Just how did we get here? Ignorance does not seem like bliss. It's a messed up repeat of history. You will be you. I will be me. It's a long arc of justice in history. There's something you just don't see. It's that we know truth will set us free. world may be blue, you are just me. And we know truth will set us free. Two, three. I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. It's time to tear down fear. Do something now. The moment has arrived. We can tell we're alive and do more than survive. Do something now. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Don't just bitch and moan. Time to get on the phone. To be sure, just knock on doors. It's forward, ho. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Polar bears can't swim forever. Guns killed 7 kids today. 10 more lives, yeah. It's just another day. Women's rights are being stripped away. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. 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 I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. Woo! All right. Oh yeah, that was for my new album. Actually, I'll do a little, very odd for me to do that, but self-promotion. That album gets released next week. So right now I'm so excited about the Timebombs. They're a local Traverse City band. If you're from Traverse City, they played this set yesterday in honor of Dan. They recorded it, and Chad, one of the members, he was up till 3 a.m. putting this together for this show, making sure that the edits were good. And this is a great set. I'm really excited. The Timebombs from Traverse City. Here we go.
The song seems appropriate for the times. That's great.
Government for hire and a combat site. Left her in a
so much.
This song is for Dan O'Neill. We are recording some music for him because he's a huge fan. I'm just kidding, he's never heard of us. We're hoping.
You will now.
He will now.
scrape up. Hey ho, let's go. Shoot 'em in the back now. What do they want? What do know? Well, we're all revved up. We're ready to go. The moment in a straight line. Going through a tight one. Kids are losing their minds. Let's scrape up. Ready? Hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, let's go.
All right, everybody, so we're doing the song today for Dan O'Neill. This guy, our soon-to-be biggest fan.
Soon to be.
He's not even a fan yet, but when he becomes one, he will be one. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with a finger and a thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, you start coming and I'm stopping. Head to the wall, so I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Great and smart, but your head is not. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? Never know if you don't go.
Go!
Never shine.
Hey now,
You're an all-star, but you keep on going.
hey now.
You're a rock star, but you want to get paid. And
All that glitters is gold.
shooting stars break the mold.
Thank you.
It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, wait till you get older. But the medium that beg to differ, pushing by the hope in the satellite picture. I used to be straight, getting pretty thin. Water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star, but you keep on going. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on again. Hey now,
All that glitters is gold.
only shooting stars break the mold. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. Somebody once asked, could I spare some change for gas? I need to get myself away from this place. I said, yep, well it costs. I could use a little fuel myself, and we could all use a little shade. Well, you start going up, stop coming, that's the rule, so I keep the girl ready. Need to make it fun to live for fun. Break it smart, but your head gets young. So much to do, but much to see. What's wrong with taking the back streets? You never know if you don't go. Go! Never shine if you don't go. Hey now, you're an all-star, get the game on, go. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold.
We're the Timebombs. Gonna take a quick break. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming out.
We're gonna do
Me and Matt are gonna do
one
one more
more.
acoustic number for you guys if you like it.
Another turning point, a fork unacceptable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dancing on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you have the time of your life.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Wow, the Time Bombs, man.
Time Bombs,
They
killing it.
rock. It's
They-
like what they say about themselves. It's the songs that you forgot you loved. Yeah, that was great. That was so much fun.
Cars, the Ramones, just killing it. Amanda, Ryan, Otto, Chad, thank you so much, man. That was just fantastic. Loved it.
I guess you're a fan now, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Amazing. Just amazing. I just love that.
That is awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so good to, to get like being back in real life, and seeing shows and yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, Dan. Here's where we are, right? This is your second time running, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what in this crazy world inspired you to run for office?
Well, I really didn't plan to go into politics. It wasn't, I've been around politics some in my life. I served on the planning commission here in Traverse City for about 10 years. I would do a little bit of work with the state party. I sat on boards of organizations like Common Cause Michigan when I thought that they did good work and I believed in their values. But I didn't think I would do it for myself. And then 2016 happened. And in many ways, I think that was a wake-up call for a lot of people. It certainly was for me because it just felt like our voice wasn't being heard. And it felt like government just wasn't us. And so I got together with a small group of people to talk about what we could do to make a change. And in Grand Traverse County, oftentimes for local elections, township trustees, township supervisor, even the county commission, there wouldn't be any Democrats on the ballot at all. And we just thought that was bad for democracy, that there needed to be more voices in the conversation and we'd get better results if that happened. So we decided to recruit folks to run for those local offices. And we'd have these events at which I would give this little speech and I would talk about how, that whatever we had done in the past, it just wasn't enough, that we all needed to do more. And that maybe if you had contributed to a campaign in the past, maybe this time you host a fundraiser, or if you had made phone calls for a campaign, maybe this time you get out and knock some doors. And that people needed to consider running for office, because if you were a person in our community who felt like they had something to say, the rest of us desperately needed you to stand up and say it, because that's how change could come. And we'd get home from these events and my wife Maura would say, really, you think that it's time for all of us to do more? And if you have something to say, it's time to say it. And I began to feel like a hypocrite. So I decided that I was tired of asking people to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And so I decided to run. And that was in 2018. And, Democrats had always had a steep climb here in Grand Traverse County. And so, our expectations, I think, were aligned with that. But the support from the community was absolutely amazing. We were able to gather more resources than any Democrat had in this county. We were able to knock more doors than any Democrat had. And we came very, very close to taking this seat for the first time in anyone's memory. We came just 349 votes short out of nearly 50,000 cast of taking this seat. And so when it came time to decide whether we're going to do this again, and I appreciate what you were saying earlier, Pete, it is, campaigns are a lot of work. And I expected that, and it turned out to be true. It is a lot of work. But it's also, as you mentioned, it's just all-consuming in this way, I think, that unless you've done it, you just don't anticipate it. It is just every second of every day. You're thinking about how you could be doing this better, or what more you could be doing. And a lot of that comes from the fact that there are so many people that give so much to a campaign. They give their heart and soul to a campaign. Yeah. And you feel like you just don't want to let anybody down. And so there was that. And the fact that I saw that Michigan was now 43rd in the country in terms of academic achievement of our kids in school. And then when it came to increasing funding for K through 12 education, that we were dead last in the country. And as you mentioned earlier, that we were dumping 6 billion gallons of raw sewage into the Great Lakes every year because we hadn't made the investments in our infrastructure to improve our water treatment facilities. Yeah. And that we were ranked dead last in the country in terms of the ethics and transparency of our state government, which means that if you live in this state, you know less about how decisions get made in Lansing and what influences the people that make those decisions than citizens of any other state in the country. And there comes a time, at least it did for me, where I just thought, I just can't sit still anymore. I need to stand up and I need to do what I can to try and change this. And for me, the way that takes shape is by going out and talking to my neighbors, telling them that I'm worried, telling them that I don't think this is okay, and I don't know anybody that thinks this is okay, and asking them to join this effort to change it. And so that's what motivated me to get involved in this. And we're fighting just as hard as we can, because there is a difference. A lot of people get turned off by politics, and there's a lot of things about politics that can turn people off. But there is a difference. There's a significant difference between who we are and the folks that are currently making the decisions in Lansing. And sometimes you get tired of trying to convince the people that make the decisions to make different decisions. Sometimes it's just time to change the people who make the decisions. And we believe that it's that time. There's a difference between us and them. I often say that I believe that the state representative from this corner of Michigan ought to be the strongest voice on the environment in the state. And it's because it's who we are here. Whether you stayed here or decided to move here, it's because you love this place. And when you love a place, you fight to protect it. And I wouldn't claim, right, to be that sort of candidate if I hadn't been able to earn the endorsement of what I consider to be the leading environmental organizations in the state, which include the Sierra Club, League of Conservation Voters, Clean Water Action, right? And I'm really proud to have those endorsements. But against that, right, what we see as protecting the environment in this place, we have a legislature in Lansing that refuses to make polluters pay for the damage that they do to our environment. They passed a statute that says we can't enact any environmental regulation in Michigan which is stricter than is enacted in Washington. And we know what the current administration has done to environmental regulation in this state, and we're currently stuck with it because of the action of our legislature. We have what I refer to as polluter panels. Literally, we have a state statute that says that there's a panel made up of representatives of the most polluting industries in the state that have veto power over environmental regulations. There is a difference between us and them when it comes to education. Those in Lansing seem to believe that Betsy DeVos has the best ideas for how we move forward with education in this state. I don't think that that's true. And so, and on issue after issue, there is a difference between us and them, and we need to get the word out to people in this community of what's at stake in this election and what it's going to take to change things in Lansing.
Well, every single one of these things that you brought up, when you say us, you're really talking about issues that affect everybody, that really fundamentally affect people's lives. They affect them personally, from the infrastructure to education, to the economy, all those things. And, and and the really, I think all the issues that you have on your website, they're very clear. They're very clear about what the problems are. And, so one thing I would like to ask you about that we haven't really talked about a lot, healthcare and people's health because of this once in a lifetime pandemic that we're experiencing. I'd very much like to get your view about, kind of what the state legislature can do and what you can do in the state legislature to make a difference with healthcare.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways that you can look at that, Pete. One is that no one could predict that this particular pandemic would arise in the way that it did and at the time that it did. But there is a way to be prepared for the things that you can't anticipate. And that's particularly true when it comes to things like public health. The way that you prepare yourself is by investing and preparing in a public health system that can respond to a crisis like this when it occurs. Michigan is 44th in the country in terms of spending on public health, and we're spending a lot less than we did in 2010 on public health than we are right now. And it affects us in our ability to respond to a pandemic like this. And it also deteriorates the health outcomes of our fellow citizens in this state day in and day out. You mentioned the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. Diabetes rates in Michigan are higher than the national average. Heart disease is higher than the national average. Infant mortality is higher in Michigan than it is in the rest of the country. Women who die in childbirth, that happens more regularly in Michigan than it does throughout the country. And that's because we failed to invest in a robust public health system. And if there's anything that we've learned, I'm sure there's a number of lessons that we're learning from this pandemic. But one is that we need a healthcare system that serves the people and not the interest of insurance companies or the pharmaceutical industry. And, a healthcare system that you can't afford and don't have access to isn't very different from not having a healthcare system at all. We need to have a healthcare system that serves the people and not these special interests. We need to expand Medicaid so that more people get coverage. We need to expand Medicaid for new moms. There are studies after studies that say there are real health risks to women in the first 12 months after they have a child. And study after study shows that if you extend coverage for at least 6 months, you can significantly improve the health outcomes. In Michigan, we offer 18 weeks of Medicaid coverage for new moms. We need to protect people with pre-existing conditions. There's an awful lot that we can do with our healthcare system, but it begins by recognizing that we have an obligation to take care of each other when we're sick. And I happen to believe that. And when you start from that premise, and it's consistent with the views I hold on education and infrastructure and all those sorts of things. These are investments that we make in each other. And it's based on a recognition that we are all in this together and that we benefit from each other's education and we benefit from the good health of our neighbors. And those things are true and they will pay dividends in the future. But it's that recognition that we need to have in order to make the investments that are so important.
That's really, I couldn't agree more. The expanding Medicaid, making sure mothers get extended coverage, lowering costs, prescription drugs, all those things are the vital, kind of base level things that we need to do. So I mean, the thing is that all these things that you've addressed, from the environment to healthcare to education to the infrastructure, it's really weird that politics affects so many people in such a direct way. And it's just that there's people who just don't kind of connect those dots very well. I have one more thing that I felt really strongly about when I looked at the issues that you decided to highlight on your website, and wanted to ask you about that. One more thing before we bring Seth up. And money in politics is something that you decided that you would highlight as an issue, and I'd very much like to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I've actually done a fair bit of work on issues relating to campaign finance, dark money, as well as protecting people's right to vote and increasing access to the ballot. But what's true about our campaign finance system is that there's really a relatively small percentage of the population that makes significant contributions to campaigns. And there's also no question that policy gets bent in favor of those funders. And it doesn't serve us well. It doesn't serve us well in a lot of ways. I was doing an event not so long ago, and someone asked me, if you were king for a day, what's the one thing that you would change? And no one had asked me that, and I hadn't really thought about it. But it didn't take me long to conclude that the thing that I would change is I would make it illegal to ever give another dollar to a politician, and that would change everything. It would change the way we educate our children. It would change the way we treat the environment. All of those things would be far better. Our action would be far more possible if we didn't have a campaign finance system that favored the funders. I'm not the first person to say it. But I believe that it's true that you can judge the health of a democracy by how well the government cares for the things that it holds in trust for the people, like clean water and clean air, because a tiny segment of the population benefits from polluting the water or polluting the air, and virtually everyone else benefits from clean water and clean air. So if the government is responding to the needs of the people, it ought to reflexively protect the water and reflexively protect the air. And when it doesn't, that tells us that there's something broken in the system. And I think that thing that's broken is a campaign finance system that shifts focus to the people that make large contributions and ignores the people that don't.
I love that. I mean, and that's why I wanted to highlight that one issue. So there's one other thing before we bring Seth up. I wanted to talk about, there's some deadlines coming up for voting, right? So people making sure that we kind of understand what's going on from a voting perspective. So the first thing is if you have not registered, the deadline to register, whether it's online or you want to vote by mail, is October 19th. And your by mail needs to be postmarked. Doesn't have to be received, but it has to be postmarked by, what's that? October 19th. That's right. And then you can register in person to vote by November 2nd. I'm sorry, by November 3rd.
Right. You can register up to and including election day. Correct.
Yep. And then you can also request a ballot, and it needs to be received by October 30th.
Your request for the ballot needs to be received by October 30th. Right.
Thank you for that clarification. Early voting runs, it starts on the 24th in a couple days on Thursday, and it runs through November 2nd. And it's suggested that if you're going to go and vote early, make sure that you know what time your early vote location place is open. The dates and times might not meet your expectations. And then Michigan does offer registration for Election Day and in each town, but it's not available at your polling place. Okay.
Right.
So,
you have to go to the clerk's office on Election Day, right? Well, we have to go to the clerk's office if you don't do by mail or online by the 19th. Then voter registration takes place at your clerk's office, but you can register at the clerk's office up to and including Election Day.
And Election Day, what day is that again?
Early November, might be the 3rd.
The third. It's a
third.
Tuesday, isn't it? A Tuesday?
Yes, it's usually a Tuesday. Yes.
The first Tuesday. Okay. So yes. So anyway, and the thing that I would suggest, yes, it's important to vote. And everybody who's going to watch this, you're likely going to vote. But reach out to a couple people who may not have voted before, and make sure this is like the very moment that you can give that kind of push to get them registered, and then make sure that they follow up and they get out to the polls. So
people need to talk to everyone they know. We are in difficult times, and I think we got some tough days ahead of us too.
Yeah.
And there has never been a time, I talk to so many people who are bewildered, right? They remember times of political differences, but they don't remember a time when the leadership in this country encouraged people to ridicule each other, and encouraged and worked so hard to divide us. And they're bewildered. And I often ask, right? They say they've never experienced anything like this. And I ask, have you called your friends? Have you called your family? Because if this doesn't prompt you to do it, just to say, I'm worried. I'm worried, and I don't think this is right. If this doesn't prompt you to do it, I don't know what will.
I'm so in agreement. Yeah, it's just this is the most important election of our lifetimes. We hear that a lot. This is the most important election of our lifetimes. And there are people who are not paying attention right now. There are people who are overwhelmed with the negative. And I completely understand being overwhelmed with bad news. It's pervasive, but we need to break through that. That's one of the reasons why we decided to do this kind of music thing. So Dan, you know, I'm so optimistic after hearing you and hearing the people who support you, and yes. So how about if we bring up Seth and get a good dose of Seth positivity and some great music from Seth, and then we'll come back right after he's done.
Sounds great. Thanks. And thanks again to the Timebombs, and thanks, Seth.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great to hear you speak, Dan. Wow. It's really refreshing to hear a candidate for state representative speaking the truth of the people, and so eloquently and with clarity of vision and commitment. And so it's an honor to stand here, sit here in the barn at my place of origin, Earthwork Farm. We just finished our 20th annual Earthwork Harvest Gathering, first ever virtual harvest gathering. So cheers to all of you folks that were with us this weekend. But I'm just going to share a few songs and say a few words. Dan is a friend. Dan and Maura are amazing people and pillars of our community up here. And so it's a no-brainer and a great honor for me to share my music and lend my voice in support of a great man to be a leader and a representative of the people. So this is the first tune on my new album. I wrote this right at the beginning of quarantine, and it's been a song that I have found myself singing just to encourage myself in the times that we live in. So I offer to all of you from my heart. Every day is a new day, no matter what the news say. We can sing our blues out, we get to choose what to talk about, and we love to laugh out loud while we work for justice, moving through the crowd. Open hands to bless this, time is always now, and we're feeling feelings. Now is always a time for healing. Wake up, keep waking up, sunrise won't be denied. Wake up, keep waking up, let your love out from the inside. Let your love out from the inside. Every day is a full day to work for those who don't have a say. Try to keep the spirits high. If you gotta let it out, baby, you can cry. Let the tears fall down like rain while we work for justice, moving through the pain. Open hands to trust this, time is always now. Hearts to get a hold of, now is always a time for love. Wake up, keep waking up, sunrise won't be denied. Wake up, keep waking up, let your love out from the inside. Let your love out from the inside. Every day is a whole day to live in. A brave day to forgive and be forgiven. Wake up, keep waking up. Sunrise won't be denied. Wake up, keep waking up. Let your love out from the inside. Let your love out from the inside. Let your love out from the inside. Yes, every day is a new day. You got to keep waking up. Thank you so much, Pete, for inviting me to be a part of this work that you're doing, and what an important time, you know, for folks to be devoting their time to getting out the vote in these races that are close and they're going to come down to the wire. I know this race just 2 years ago really came down to less than 200 votes, and you know, it's a shocking that everyone doesn't vote. If you're eligible to vote, you got to vote. People died so that we could have this right, and it's a responsibility. So we've all been going through a lot, and I started playing this song around the campfire last night, and I thought I would offer it tonight by one of my favorite artists. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I stand my ground, and I won't back down. Gonna stand my ground, won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. I'm gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I won't back down. Well, I know what's right. I got just one life in a world that keeps on pushing me around. I'm gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I won't back down.
no easy way out. Hey, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. So we're surrounded by 21% of the world's fresh surface water right here in the Great Lakes Basin. And it seems so obvious to do everything we can to protect the water, to not pollute and destroy clean water. It's at the center of our lives. It's the most important thing that all of us need for life itself. And it breaks my heart and really pisses me off that our representatives in Lansing are now working together to just uphold that basic, obvious, sacred thing. It's the worst. It's unacceptable. And I'm really proud of the Democratic floor leader in Lansing right now. Yusuf Rabhi is a great leader, and he has done a lot of work to try to protect the water, to try to protect people, to try to support the people of Detroit, the people of Flint, the people of Benton Harbor, recognizing that we live with structural racism, recognizing that we live in a state where there's an abundance of water, and yet communities of color are denied their basic human right to clean, affordable drinking water. Unacceptable. We don't have any policies in place to protect our groundwater from being exploited and taken away. Representative Robbie has tried to pass legislation to protect our groundwater. This is just a very, very simple, necessary measure that should be completely obvious. And so we need to send Dan to Lansing to work with Yusuf Rabhi and all of these other wonderful representatives. And when I say, critical words, it's like there actually are a lot of great leaders in Lansing right now, but we need a majority right now. And this is one of the races that's really close that could actually flip the House. And that's what we need to do. And we've needed to do this for a while. We made some real progress in 2018, but we didn't elect Dan O'Neill. And Traverse City, you can do better, You really can. All of us can. And I will do better as well. And so this is what I can do tonight, and tomorrow is a new day, and there's more that we can do. So take this seriously. This is really important. And we live in unprecedented times. We don't know what it's going to be like tomorrow, but we get to be a part of it. And so thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Share the stream, volunteer, donate, and get out the vote in any way that you can. Dan is a great man. Let's send him to Lansing. All right, I got one more tune for you. Got the whole known universe in the palm of his hand. He's got the new device. It's never gonna be the same again. It's changing. Got a map of Michigan in the palms of his hands, and he's been selling his blood
takes up all of his time. He doesn't go outdoors anymore. It's never gonna be the same again. It's changing. Changing. All right. He's got the whole known universe. He's got a map of Michigan. He's got the food device. Never gonna be the same again. It's changing.
All right. Seth Bernard.
Great.
Wow. So that's what happens when your daughter is not there to be a band member with you. Yeah. For anyone who's watching this, so we did another show, and Seth's daughter Iris was on stage almost the whole time. It was very amusing. It was beautiful, actually. But that's what happens when you don't have that. So that's awesome. That was amazing.
Perfect.
That was awesome.
Thank you all so much. Yeah, Iris is a budding performer. Her first public performance was for the Recall Inman campaign, actually. So, we need to bring some dignity to this seat in Lansing, and Dan's the man to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, before we break up this little group
Party.
this party, I want to acknowledge Linda and Jen, who work really hard as volunteers to make sure that these shows happen. Yay!
Bring it home, Dan. Bring it home.
And
Yep.
bring it home. Exactly.
And of course, Dan, thank you for running. Thank you. There was just a few votes difference, and all we got to do is convince a small group of people to get involved and just talk to people and convince folks that voting actually changes people's lives, and it does, and all
Absolutely.
the things you talked about. It's just it's like it's such a simple thing, and being able to convince someone that their apathy actually has an impact, that sitting out is not really an option this time. So
Absolutely. And again, Pete, thank you so much. And thanks to the Timebombs and Seth.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
And thank everyone for watching.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
Seth,
so much.
you're awesome.
Seth,
You too, Pete. You're awesome. Dan,
Thank
kill
you.
it. We'll see you when you're in
Yep.
office.
All righty. Thanks so much.
Exactly.